Hey everyone, James Niggemeyer here. Thank you for tuning back into my YouTube channel. Today I want to go over 3 of my more productive bottom bouncing baits for bass during the early summer period. We're here late May, going into the first part of June. That's what I consider the early summer period. There's fish that are up there in 5 feet of water, fish that are out there in 25 feet of water. When they're on the bottom, these are the 3 baits, with exception, that I'm gonna grab. Before I get right into this video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And if you like this video, give me a thumbs up and drop a comment down below. 3 of my more productive bottom bouncing type baits. And what I mean by more productive, consistently day in, day out. Some of you know that I do some guiding on Lake Fork, Lake Palestine, Lake Tawakoni, some of these Northeast Texas lakes. Anytime you're into the late part of May, into the first part of June, you're in the early summer pattern. And so these are baits that I feel like you take these baits out, and on any given day, one of these 3 baits are gonna catch them when the fish are related to the bottom. So number 1, it's just such a hard one to beat. It's not particularly my favorite way to fish, but I do know how productive it is. And when I'm out there, particularly on guide trips this time of year, I'm gonna reach for a Carolina rig. It's one of those techniques that's just so hard to beat. I mean, the fish bite it, and I always feel like what remaining late spawners are pulling out and starting to set up on points and timber lines and different things like that, they're just kind of recouping from the rigors of the spawn. They're not very aggressive. You can get a reaction strike with crankbaits and spoons and different things like that, but I feel like you can catch the majority of what's out there with a Carolina rig. I've got a lot on here. I've got a 3/4 ounce Strike King tour grade tungsten weight, a bead, a little clacker, and then I've got a little like knot saver, and then like a number 7 barrel swivel. That's an owner barrel swivel. And so my main line's like 20, and I've got about a length of 14 pound test copolymer is what I'm gonna guess this is, maybe 17. And then a 4/0 owner all-purpose worm hook, and then a Strike King game hog. That's just a great bait for dragging around behind a Carolina rig. And I feel like while you're moving through the water, these little appendages are just catching water, kind of like a lizard, a little different profile. Just a great bait for catching fish that are relating to the bottom, not wanting to move very fast. You know, they're just tight to that structure. And so just dragging this around anywhere, like I said, from 5 feet to 25 feet, these fish are pulling out of those pockets and coves and creeks, getting on those secondary points, main lake points, and timber lines as they pull out. They're moving out of those spawning areas. I've caught them on shallow points with rock and shell, and I've caught them on little secondary points with timber on them. But just the Carolina rig works really well for catching those bass that are just not willing to move and chase. It's just catches all sizes, just really hard one to beat. The other one that I really like is a Texas rig worm. And I probably don't talk a lot about this one. The Texas rig worm actually has just kind of fallen out of favor with a lot of tournament fishermen, so you don't hear a lot about it. But when it comes to the summertime, that's when they typically reach for it. This is a great one in a lot of seasons, in a lot of different times of the year, but a big curly tail worm like this Strike King Recon worm is great for this time of year. It seems like those bass that are, again, pulling out, trying to pick up on an easy meal, these larger baits like this, these 10-inch worms, plastic worms with a curly tail, you throw it out there, and I've got a little bit of a lightweight on here, but I want, say, anything from a 1/4 to almost a 3/4, depending on how much wind and how deep of water you're in. But throw it out there, let it sink all the way to the bottom. And sometimes if you're fishing timber lines, these fish will catch it on the bottom. They're suspended in the water column, kind of recuperating, same thing, but they're relating to that timber. You can throw this up against timber on structure. So just not any timber, but timber like on a point or a high spot, different things like that. Those fish will be suspended on that timber. And as it's falling down with that curly tail worm, it just can be a great way to catch some really nice fish. And just dragging it along the bottom, hopping it, and just let the fish kind of tell you what they want. It's a great productive staple for summertime bass fishing. Don't forget the 10-inch worm. even now and as you move through. I like colors like plum or blue fleck, and this one's kind of got a rib body. Just a great bait for catching these bass that are a little sluggish and relating to the bottom. Lastly, there's a technique that I really like, and I've caught a lot of fish using it specifically, again, early summer, and they might know them as a wobble head. This is a jointed structure head. It pivots, and you can run it through cover and on the bottom, and I like a striking rage bug, green pumpkin, blue craw, some of those more natural colors. And I throw this out there, let it sink to the bottom, and I just reel it nice and slow. And I mean really slow as you can without stopping it. And that jointed head, you know, it just wobbles back and forth and pivots, and it's coming through cover. Amazingly weedless, this guy. Want to make sure you rig it nice and straight, just like that. But that rage bug on the back of a jointed structure head, anywhere from 3/8 to 3/4 ounce. I've also caught them on different colors like Bama bug, for just depending upon the water clarity that you're up against. But the jointed structure head's my number 3. Not that I think it's better or not as good as the other two, but someone's got to be number 3, and that's the jointed structure head. So those are 3 baits that I feel like when you're moving into the early summer are great at catching bass related to the bottom as they recuperate from their springtime spawn and really get going with the water temperatures climbing, they're feeding up, and moving into the summertime, there's gonna be a lot of bass that are moving out of those creeks and pockets and staging up on points, secondary points, humps, and high spots. That's pretty much it for now, guys. 3 baits for bass relating to the bottom in the early summer pattern. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please hit the subscribe button. It's really the best way you can help the channel grow, and I would certainly appreciate it. Until next time, thanks for watching, and good fishing.